about it. Tell me all about it. I'm here. I wanna know what's on your mind. Ooh, the world needs to hear from you, and I'm so glad to have a conversation to reach the nation. And it's all about you. We'll help each other to discover innovative ways to positively change the world. Let's talk about. Let's talk about. Yeah. Let's talk about conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. Happy Monday. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host. And Conversations with Nicole is a talk show based in Tallahassee, Florida, focused on connecting the community through conversations. And today is what I call Mindset Monday. Mindset Monday is an opportunity for you, me, and my guests to talk about whatever it is we want to talk about. And today we are talking about caregiving, caring for the caregiver. November is National Family Caregiver Month. And so my very special guest is a inspirational caregiver, Miss Priscilla John Louis. And I am super excited and delighted to have her on with me tonight. And so I'm going to introduce her in just a little bit. But before I do, I want to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from? We are live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and this is an interactive live. So I fully expect to receive your comments, your questions. We want to engage with you in conversation. So tag a friend, let them know they need to be on here. Again, we are talking all things caregiver, caring for the caregiver, because sometimes the caregiver may be overlooked, by themselves. Maybe they're working too hard and just don't give themselves that care, but we do need to care for the caregiver. The caregiver's lives matter. So we are going to dive in just a little bit. So I'm going to just say happy homecoming to all the rattlers out there. I got my I Love FAMU earrings on. I have on my throwback 2023 FAMU homecoming shirt here. Right. So we are all things orange and green, repping the Rattlers, and y'all check out the hair. We ready. We ready for homecoming 2023, y'all. We ready. So anyway, I'm super excited about this homecoming, and we just gonna have a good time. So it was a beautiful day here in Tallahassee. The weather has been just like picture perfect for fall. And, we just living life, right? Trying to make the most of the moments. All right. So, Priscilla Joan Louis, inspirational caregiver, podcaster. She is a multi talented individual who wears many hats as a caregiver, as a momager, marketing professional, business owner, and community leader. Both her marketing career and her servant leadership are a testament to her passion for telling people stories. That's a woman after my own heart. Her faith plays a significant role in her life and drives her to serve others. Yes, she is an inspirational caregiver and advocate who works tirelessly for the most vulnerable in our communities. She promotes Alzheimer's awareness and advocates for legislative action to support individuals and families affected by the disease. Her passion for Alzheimer's advocacy stems from her personal experiences as a caregiver for her mother who lives with the disease and grandmother who passed away last year from the disease. Her experiences led her to start the My Favorite Girl in Alzheimer's social media platform, and the My Favorite Girl Caregivers Corner podcast that provides support, resources, and encouragement to fellow caregivers. In addition to her work with Alzheimer's advocacy, she also has dedicated support of homelessness awareness. And so she works alongside with her superstar daughter, Miss Kaylin, of Kaylin's Care and Connection Inc., a 501c3 nonprofit organization that helps youth, the homeless, and those in need in our community. She receives her bachelor's in criminology from the Florida State University, go Noles, and they had their homecoming this weekend and whooped up on, who did they play? Duke on Saturday. She is the owner, CEO, and lead graphic designer of K&D Creative Designs and Marketing Solutions, a business specializing in graphic design, web design, video production, and social media marketing and management. Woo, Priscilla's faith is evident in the way she serves others and the compassion she demonstrates towards those in need. And her passion, dedication, and advocacy have made a positive impact in the lives of many individuals and families affected by Alzheimer's and homelessness. And when I tell you, she is a champion for those things. She is based right here in Tallahassee, Florida, and we are super excited and delighted to have her on tonight. So y'all help me welcome Miss Priscilla Jean Louise.
Hello, hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing great. So glad to be on with you tonight. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
and glad to have you. So, in the tradition of conversations with Nicole, I have people talk about briefly who they are, not what they do. So, if you would, in your own words, tell us, who is Priscilla? Not what you do, but who are you?
Oh, wow. So I am a mother of two. I have two beautiful daughters, Destiny Nicole and Kaylin Jean Louis, both of whom are also running nonprofits. I am a lover of God and people. And I just am someone who loves to just help other people. And um, that's pretty much me.
Okay, very good. Well, we love it. Thank you for being here. So, we have a few folks that are chiming in. Miss Felicia Thomas, attorney Felicia Thomas, thank you for being here. Good evening. Tanisha Jackson, thank you. Tanisha, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Thank you for being here. Where are you tuning in from, Tanisha? We also have Miss Angie Wiggins. Thank you for being here, who's right here in Tallahassee, and Miss Doris Strong. Thank you for being here, Miss Doris. Hope you're doing well. So, again, interactive live. We definitely want your comments, your questions, and please tag and share and let some folks know that they need to be in here. All right, Tanisha is in Madison. Love it. All right, we appreciate it. All right, so caregiving. I mean, we may think of caregiving just for somebody that is ill. We may also think of caregiving as it relates to parents with small children, but it's much more than that, right?
Absolutely. So
Mm,
much more than that. To me, it's a selfless sacrifice that you make. For me in particular, I care for my mom, who, as you stated in your intro, who is
mhm,
living with Alzheimer's dementia.
mhm.
Um, so I was also caring for my grandmother. She
Yeah.
actually passed away 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years in January. So I had both of them together,
Mhm,
caring for them. But it's so much more than just um, you know parents and children, and it goes so much further than that. And so my desire, my passion, and it turned into a passion after I got into it, is to simply help to inspire other people, because oftentimes people run away from
mhm.
caring. People don't like it, especially if it's going to take away from their lives and what they like to do. People run away from it. And then sometimes it can be extremely difficult. And so my passion is to really inspire people to care, you
So,
know. Um,
prior to your mother and grandmother becoming ill, had you had any caregiving experience?
I had not. I had not. What I had done was watch my mom care
Mhm,
for her mom.
mhm.
And so my grandmother that I cared for, she was not my grandmother by blood. She's my grandmother by love. And
Oh,
so
I love that.
she's actually one of the church mothers back
Mhm.
in our church back home, that my mom just took up with before I was born. And I think probably from the time I was about 3 or 4. she just became my grandmother. And so everybody, there was no explanation needed. If you knew, you knew. If you didn't, it was pretty okay. But she was my grandmother by love. And so my mom's mom actually had Alzheimer's as well. And so she lived with us when I was, ironically enough, around the same age as Caitlin when
Mm,
she came to live with us. And so I watched my mom and how she cared for her and, the love and everything. I mean, literally in the mornings, getting up, getting us ready for school, and then going. She lived with us for a while. Then my mom ended up having to put her in a nursing home. And I
mhm.
watched her get us ready for school and go out to the nursing home every day, twice
Wow.
a day.
Wow.
And I picked up just from the caring that my mom did.
Hmm. Now that's a lot of dedication. That really is.
Yeah, it's the sacrifice in it.
It's
That's what caring is all about.
like,
It's sacrifice. It
yeah.
is. It's really for real, laying down your life for the benefit and the sake of others. In my case, for my mom. And I look at it. I don't just say caregiving. I often use the word serving.
Mm,
This is
mm,
my opportunity to be able to serve. Because when I look at it, growing up, and you don't think about it as children, but growing up, our parents make so many sacrifices for us,
mm.
that some of them we know about, some of them we'll never know about. But they gave up a lot as well to be able to care for us. And so, in reverse, as I say, it's a book that I'm writing. I'll be finished with it eventually, but my book is titled Love in Reverse, and that's exactly what it is. They poured into us, and so in reverse, we owe them that. That is always going
Love
to be
that.
right. You know,
Love in
love
reverse.
in reverse.
Huh. Okay.
I don't y'all take my book title. I already have
No,
it.
we're not
No,
taking
I'm
it.
not talking. I feel funny.
So I want to get our viewers involved. So I really am curious how many of you have either been a caregiver for a loved one, whether by blood or by love, or have been the recipient of caregiving. Maybe somebody has cared for you. So if you don't mind sharing in the comments, let us know. And so I see a few people that are chiming in. I see Miss Angela is on here. Thank you for being here. We got Miss Ruby Harris also with us. Thank you for being here. And Miss Maggie Hood, who is here in Tallahassee as well. She said, I love that serving. That's exactly what it is, indeed. Thank you for being on with us, Maggie. All right. So Ruby said she cared for her mother for 15 years. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. We got Miss Zamoria on. She said, hey, Auntie Priscilla, my favorite caregiver. Yes. Thank you for being on here, Dr. Johnson. Appreciate you. All right. Maggie said, I told my granny I am honored to care for you. You took care of me. Yes. Love it. Love it. I think it's commendable that you are taking on that mindset, Maggie, because everybody does not have to share that same sentiment when it comes to caring. And, and so I want to kind of pause there for a minute to say that although everyone may not share that same sentiment, it does not make them a bad person or somebody who um, should be looked upon necessarily negatively. Because I do believe that caregiving is a gift. There's a gifting that comes along with that. And maybe it's not, and when I say it's a gift, it may be I think that some people are naturally born with this gift of caring. And then others, I think maybe it's acquired over time, right? Because maybe it might not start off that way for you, but over time, after you have, gotten to, know this person and all of their idiosyncrasies and, had to do all of the things that you had to do, there becomes maybe a caring spirit that kind of takes over, if you will, so that you can to do those things, right?
I think I agree with you on that 100%. I also think that there is a what I say there's a grace. I also have a T-shirt line, right? And one of my
Oh,
first shirts that it's Inspirational Caregiver tees, right? And one of the first shirts that I did it's called I was graced for this.
ah,
So
okay.
there's a grace that comes along with it as well, for you to be able to do it. I'm a firm believer that God never places us in any place that He hasn't also given us the grace for. And
Yes.
so no, everybody, and they're not, they're not bad people
Mm-hmm.
because they don't care, because there's a certain level of patience, especially when you are caring for somebody with Alzheimer's, any other forms of dementia. So, definitely you have to have a certain patience for it. And we'll get into this a little bit further, but I want people to understand as well, just because you weren't, I had a family member to tell me they weren't, I'm not built for that. And some people aren't, right? They may not be built for it, but
Mm-hmm.
just because you're not in that primary role as caregiver does not mean that there isn't some other ways that you can also help. There are people who are long distance caregivers. How do you long distance caregive? There's a lot of things that you can do, and we'll probably get into that further down. But
Mm-hmm.
there's some things that you can do that will still help to lighten the load for the person that is primary. So no, you're not a bad person if you don't do it. It's when you just turn a blind eye to it, when it needs to be done and you're not doing anything.
So let's explore that a little more, because I think that maybe folks that aren't the primary caregiver may not even realize that the person who is the primary caregiver does need care, which means that perhaps there are some things that you can do as a secondary or supplemental, if you will, caregiver to help support that caregiver so they can be their best and do, their best with caring for the loved one.
Absolutely. So yeah, I had there's a friend of mine who lives up in Maryland. She
Mhm.
is a caregiver for her grandmother. She's a long distance caregiver. So for her, that involves something as simple as sometimes it's ordering groceries and making sure that groceries are there. It's sometimes scheduling appointments. You can do that long distance. You can get that information and you can be involved in that way. It is, sometimes it's the financial side. It's whatever it is that you can do to help offer support and care also to the person that's caring. You may not be in there full time because you're out. There are some people who, siblings who may be in a different state. If you're in a different state, it's hard to do that. But what you have to consider is even where you are, what can you offer
Mhm.
to help that person who is there 24/7 or however many hours. For myself, it's 24/7 for me. So I'm here. I actually work remotely. So when I'm not traveling, I'm here. But that's the thing that you have to think about. Even if you can't be there, what can you still do to help make that load somewhat lighter for that
Mhm.
person who is in there full time?
So let me ask you this, as caregiver, did you have to kind of learn what you needed? Because maybe you didn't know initially when you started out.
Um, I learn every day.
Mm,
There's, it never, for me, no day is the same ever. No day is ever the same. And so you're continually learning day by day what even you yourself need, right? And so it's a matter of sometimes it is telling, it's being able to say, this is what I need. And
mhm,
then sometimes it's wherever your expertise is, and what you do, if you can offer that, because it's different for different people.
right.
For me, um, you know, I am 8 years into this thing, right? And so 8 years in for, well, almost eight. So for almost 8 years, next month we'll make 8 years. For
Mm-hmm.
almost 8 years, it's been me and Kaylin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had help there. And so my mom is in a stage now where you really can't, I can't, without somebody being at my house, I can't do anything. I can't just run down the street to the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
I can't, sometimes I can't even go to the restroom. You have to wait because for the stage that she's in, you turn your back. It literally is like caring for a toddler. And
Yeah.
so you turn your back and you're liable to have this, that, or the other missing or
Right.
gone, or she's here or there. And so at this particular stage, it's something different because I don't have anybody in the house with me now. My baby graduated and she's, staying on campus. And so it's just the two of us right
Mm-hmm.
now. And so there are different things that you need at different stages. And so as you go along, you realize, okay, I need this or I need that. So, something as simple as being able to run to the grocery store, that's like big for me now. I try to go when I have that space of time where I do have a lot of time or, more than just a few minutes. So when I do have people that come over, I do thankfully, during the day while I'm working, I do have staff that come in while I'm working and I have some weekend help. But, this past weekend, it was just me because my weekend help, they weren't available. And so in those, you have to shift, you have to maneuver, right? So what I ended up having to do, even for work, when I realized, because I'm a planner, so I try to plan ahead. And
Mm-hmm.
so, okay, as Kaylin is getting ready to transition to college, what I did was I changed my work hours. I changed my work hours and I start work now at 7 so I can get off by 4. So I have an hour of time before my help leaves that if
Mm-hmm.
I need to do anything, I got an hour to do it.
Yeah.
So that's a part of the sacrifice that comes in. And so when you talk about, what can be done, something as simple as, hey, um, you need me to come through so you can go to the grocery store? Or, and I'm just saying, I say different things for me, things that I would need, but in thinking about just caregiving as a whole, what
Mm-hmm.
other people would need in that situation.
Okay. So we have a lot of comments, but I do want to acknowledge a few people that have joined us. Alethea, thank you for being here. She says, greetings. Anthony Henderson, he says, best advice I ever got, get help early, get help often. Yes, thank you for joining us. My mom is on from South Florida. Thank you for being here, Mom. Appreciate you. And we got Miss Lisa hearing Myrick on. She said, you have to learn how to self care. Yes, absolutely. We
Feel
got,
like
yes, Aboniche is on. She's here in Tallahassee. Thank you for being here. She said, sending strength and positive energy to all the caregivers fighting the fight and persevering. Yes. And she says, thank you for the conversation, Miss John Louis, and sharing your personal journey. Yes. Rashonda is on with us as well. She was our guest last week and had a great community health fair this weekend over at Walker Ford Community Center. All right. And she says, sacrifices necessary for balance. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So you mentioned, planning, scheduling, all of those things are really important and help, right? You
yes.
mentioned having some folks here that staff, that can assist. So where do you get staffing from? Because I'm sure again when you started out, you didn't know
No,
too much about, all of those things. So
I
talk to
did
us
not.
about that. Yeah.
So my mom is actually on long-term community-based care. And
Mm,
so it's the research, it's finding out, okay, what services are out there for me. And so of course, for that you would go to elder services. That's I actually have all this information too, on my website. So
mm,
my website, priscillajjeanlouis.com. It'll scroll at some point, but out, you go there and you'll find a link for that. But she's on long-term care, and so through that, I was able to have staff that come in. I have 60 hours that they provide me with, and so 40 of those hours are used for when I'm working. So I do have to work so that we can keep eating. And so I use those 40 hours are for that. And then I have 20 hours where I can stagger staff on the weekend when they're available. Sometimes it's a matter of finding help, to be honest. And I think that is the issue that quite a few people run into, is finding help. And it's not just in your home. And the thing about it is, when you um, are bringing somebody in your home, you want to make sure that you're bringing somebody in your home that you can trust. And
Mm,
so, thankfully, the people that I do have coming from me are people that I know, I have relationship with, and so I'm comfortable with them. But what I've gotten from even other people that I've spoken with, other people who even may have hours, sometimes it's a matter of finding somebody that you are comfortable, because these people are coming into your space. If you choose to keep your loved one at home, they're
mm,
coming into your space. They're coming into your house. So it has to be somebody that you trust, and somebody that you can trust with your loved one. I tell people all the time, it's comical, but I'm comical and serious at the same time. I plan to keep my mom at home as long as I can, because there are two places I don't want to go. I don't want to go to hell, and I don't want to go to jail. And her being somewhere else heightens the possibility for one or both. And so I keep her home because, people, the quality of care, it's just not the same.
mm,
Back
mhm,
when I was growing up, a lot of us growing up, the quality of care was there. People really genuinely cared about you and the people that they're caring for.
mhm.
Nowadays, it's not the same. People are after the dollar, and they treat your loved ones any kind of way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you have to be, trusting on that end. But um, exactly, relationship matters,
Mhm,
because, you can't come in my house and deal with my mama any kind of way. She
mhm,
may not remember, but I have cameras all over my house.
mm,
Now, I give people room and space. I'm not on there, when I'm gone. I'm not on there as much. But if I need to run them back, I run them back. You
mm,
know, and I tell people, if you got your loved one, I'll get some cameras. They're inexpensive. The ones I have, they're inexpensive, but they work. They work perfect. And
mhm.
whatever makes you comfortable.
Right.
But there are different resources out there. I mean, you have the Big Ben Hospice. Big Ben Hospice, I think they are wonderful. My mom is actually on their transitional care program, and so she's been on the transitional care program for going on 2 years. They provide palliative care. So often when people think of Big Ben Hospice, they think end of life and people are going to die. And in some cases, true. But then there's also palliative care that they provide, which also provides volunteers that I
Mm,
have a volunteer through them as well. Actually, um, I have one who they're contracted. Through their AmeriCorps program. Now, I do believe that they have since they don't do their AmeriCorps program anymore, but they still do the volunteers. And so I have had a wonderful experience with their volunteers. I have one that started out with me, who her contract ended, but she still wanted to offer, her volunteer services. She knows that I like to go to church. I love to go to church on Sundays. And so even though her contract is over, she comes to my house every Sunday. And she is here for about 4 hours so that I can go to church. And, for me, that's just been a blessing. And I know that that's something that, God opened that door, because that's my heart. Now,
mm,
there are times when, she's not available. She wasn't available the last 2 weeks, and that's perfectly fine. And I
right.
love her, because I mean, she will call me just like she's getting paid. and
Mm,
say, and I mean, well in advance to say she can't come. But
right.
Big Bend Hospital, I mean, wonderful, wonderful services, wonderful team. Their transitional care, wonderful team, and I probably refer more people to them than anybody because it works for me. And then there are services now. I don't utilize all of their services, but because I don't have that need just yet, but they do have a lot of other services, and not just for those who have dementia and Alzheimer's. If you have a loved one who has a diagnosis of a disease, or what have you,
A terminal illness or something.
terminal illness. Thank you. I couldn't think of my words right there.
It's okay.
Absolutely. They have all types of service. I did my podcast that's on my website as well. Did a podcast with Fabiola Jean Charles is her name. She's there, the director for the transitional care, and she and another young lady, and they talked extensively about all of the services that they provide. That's another one in our community
Mhm.
that contact them and get that information. When it comes to Alzheimer's and dementia, X2 Project, I think they're great. They provide great trainings
Mhm.
for those African Americans with Alzheimer's and dementia. And I'll throw this plug in there while we're talking about it. We can't stay in the dark
Mhm.
about a lot of this stuff. A lot of times we take it and we sweep it up under the rug, right?
Mhm.
Things go on and we still have that mentality of what goes on in the house stays in the house.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff got to come out the house so that you can get help.
Right.
A lot of times we think, okay, it's a natural part of aging, and it's not.
Mhm.
Dementia, also, it's not a natural part of aging. And when we recognize these things, we can't just sit to the side and say it's not happening, pretend it's not happening. By the
Right.
time we start paying attention to it, it's so far gone until there's not a whole lot you can do about it. But if you recognize, say something.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I will say a lot of these general practitioners, I will say, they don't seem to be as knowledgeable, right? So
Exactly. I was just about to say they don't know.
they're not. And so what we're trying to do, like I said, I work closely with the Alzheimer's Association. One of the things that we're trying to do is get this information even to these doctors' offices, right? Because when you go into your doctor's office, you have all these pamphlets in there about different things. We
Mm-hmm.
need one in there that talks about the signs and the symptoms of Alzheimer's. And Alzheimer's is just a form of dementia, right? Won't have time to get into that all the way. Go
Right.
Google it. I promise you, you'll find it. But they have to be able to recognize. I mean, for me, with my mom, I had seen dementia,
Mm,
Alzheimer's, pretty much all my life, because for our family, and we're gonna stop that curse right there, but it seems to be genetic. So my mom, her her dad, her mom, she
mm,
had two sisters in the last 3 years that passed away from it. And right now she has two brothers who also have it, right?
mm,
So this is a whole, so I've been around it. It wasn't until I started caring for her that
mhm.
I started to really, really pay attention and say, hey, we got to do something about it. This is not normal. Right.
Right.
And so that's where my research and that's where my passion and all of it for Alzheimer's came, because I'm like, I'm seeing this too much and I got to figure out what's going on here
Right.
so we can stop this.
Yeah.
But, I'm like, you got to be able to recognize it and then go as far as you need to go
Yeah.
to take care of it. Don't allow them to say, well, no, it's not. Oh my gosh, absolutely. Alzheimer's Project, that's another one.
Yes. So
Lisa, Alzheimer's Project is wonderful.
yes.
Also provide volunteers. I had volunteered through them for a few years. So a lot of resources.
Indeed. And thank you for sharing all of those. You mentioned Elder Care, Big Ben Hospice, Act Two Project, Alzheimer's Project. So we are a little more than halfway, at the halfway point. And so for those of you who may be just joining us, I am on with the Inspirational caregiver, Miss Priscilla John Louis, and we are talking about caring for the caregiver because November is Family Caregiver Month, Family Caregiver Month. And so, oh, we got again a number of comments. I didn't want to disturb your flow, but Ruby talked about her mom being 87, still in her right mind. Thank God she attends Elder Day Stay Monday through Friday. It's a big break for Ruby. Robert, he says thank you and God bless all of the caregivers. Yes. Marjorie, thank you for being here. She said minors with disabilities also have respite care, but yes, it's true. Good help is hard to find. Yes, 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 yes. Lisa, that's right. Advocate for your loved ones. Sharice, who is in Atlanta, she said, great evening, everyone. As a caregiver of my 91-year-old aunt in Virginia, I'm loving the topic. Yes. Ebonice, she said, I'm seeing an increase in cases where the loved one has Alzheimer's and dementia, and the caregivers are persecuted by the loved ones and the other family members that are in denial. What do you recommend in these cases?
There is an increase, and I will also say there's also an increase in younger onset. So younger onset meaning those cases that start, 65 and down, Um, Now I will be honest in saying that has not been my situation. My family members are not in denial. They
Mhm.
just choose not to help. Let me just say that. So
Okay.
there are some who, they are in denial. And unfortunately, because the person who actually has Alzheimer's, dementia, the thing about it, especially in the early stages, they know that something is going on. They can't really put their hand on it. They can't articulate it totally, but they know something is going on. And a lot of times, if you're not around them, you may not pick it up right
Mm,
away because if I'm just seeing grandma, once a month, grandma
mhm,
may be dealing with this every day, but because I'm just thinking, oh, she just forgot, right? But
mhm,
when you do see it, um, unfortunately, there's really nothing that you can do if you're gonna be in it because you're not gonna think it's going on. If you're in denial, sometimes we'll say, oh, they like with my mom, it started with the keys, misplacing keys, couldn't find the keys, and initially it's like, okay. Then it was the purse,
mhm,
find a purse. And so after a while, I think the thing that really opened my eyes with her, she was picking my oldest daughter up
mhm,
from school every day. And so one day my daughter says to me, she said, Mommy, I'm scared to ride in the car with Granny. And I'm saying, what do you mean? And so she started explaining to me how the light would be green for her to go, and
Oh
she would
my.
sit there. And then
Mm,
when the light turned red, she would go pull out in front of cars. And that's when I started paying attention, saying, okay, we gotta you really
mhm,
focus in on this. But I'm like, if they're denying what's going on, I don't know how much you can really do because a lot of times with the person who has it, they are definitely going to deny. And so to get them to a doctor is going to be difficult by itself. So if
mm.
you're in denial and they're in denial, that's a hard place to be, you know.
Yeah, she additionally
They
says
do.
some of them become embarrassed, and since the caregiver knows the truth, they cause hardships on the caregiver.
They do,
Mm,
you this is a space, and I'm sure those that are caregivers can honestly say this is a space that is not easy at
mm,
all.
yeah.
Um, I tell people sometimes I think I make it look easy, but it's not. It is not easy at all.
Mm,
One of the things that I'm learning and I'm experiencing all for real at this point, it being a caregiver reality, it's a lonely place.
mm,
It's a lonely place. because you know, where I was very active in a whole lot of stuff.
Mhm.
Rarely missed church, rarely, just active in a lot of things. And so once I became a caregiver, it's automatic where, people just kind of, and I don't think people do it intentionally, but they do start to leave you out of things.
Mhm.
They don't include you because it's always, well, she's not gonna be able to come anyway. And so it's like you're losing a side of, things that you love to do. And at the same time, you're feeling like, well, dog, you I don't want to say losing because, but in some aspects it is. It's like you're losing a lot because you can't do the things that you normally do.
Mhm.
You can't participate in things that you would normally participate in. And sometimes you just want to say, I mean, at least call me. I mean, I might have to, I'm probably gonna have to say no, but at
Right.
least make me feel like I'm still a part. And
Mhm.
that's what happens a lot of times. You kind of get pushed to the side because it's like, hey, she's not able to do that anymore. So we're gonna move on. And that right there by itself is that's a hard place to be.
It is.
It's just like Miss Ruby, it's lonely. It's lonely.
Yes.
You know that you're not alone.
Right.
You have Christ, but it's a lonely space to be in.
Yeah. So Ruby also mentioned Florida Blue has a Papa program, 60 hours per year, 2 hours a day,
Really.
maybe.
Now I've
Yeah.
not heard of that, but I'm writing that down
Right.
so that I might contact somebody from Florida Blue. Let's talk about it so we can get that
Mhm.
additional information. I've not
Absolutely.
heard of them, but thank you, Miss Ruby. I'm gonna check into that.
Indeed. And Rashonda said assistance is needed to help maintain balance and trusting relationships within the walls of our homes, especially when dealing with your loved ones. She also mentioned knowing the signs, don't ignore the symptoms and signs. And then Lisa again mentioned the Alzheimer's Project. All right. So Benice said, I've seen cases where the family is able to give them CBD oil and medical marijuana helps the loved ones and the caregivers. Hmm.
Some people do it. Some
Mm,
some people do it.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And she also mentioned the medical care system falling apart because of the influx of patients developing symptoms earlier in life. I noticed the medicine for reflux disease like omeprazole, because this as well, medicines are a big culprit.
yeah,
So this her comment actually kind of causes me to circle back to something you said about this condition of Alzheimer's and dementia not being normal. And so it seems like it has been normalized. It's just something that happens. But have you found in your research anything that suggests, what may be some of the cause of this?
I think that it goes back to what causes a whole lot of stuff. So when you look at Alzheimer's and dementia, African Americans are at a 2 times greater rate. And if you're a woman, that increases even more. But
Mm,
it does go back to what was it with COVID? Same things: high blood pressure, diabetes, lack of exercise, lack of sleep. All of that plays into it. And then when you have a family dynamic, that gene, then that increases it even more. And so we do have to pay attention to what we're eating. We have to pay attention to our exercise, our sleep, being able to, you exercise, you're walking, that helps to build those brain cells. So what happens with Alzheimer's and dementia, right? It's kind of like, I always describe it as plaque on your teeth. When you go to the dentist and they show you the plaque on your teeth, right? There's these amyloid plaques that
mm,
build on your brain and
mhm.
they kill your brain cells.
Wow.
So as it continues to progress, your brain cells die. And so that's why, when it comes down to the later stages of it, that people really do. They go down all the way down to not even remembering how to swallow, not
Mm,
remembering how to eat food. And so they end up succumbing because of the fact that, they're not eating. But, it all comes down to what we are putting in our bodies, what
mhm.
we're eating. We got to be able to exercise, get sleep.
Yeah.
uh, it's kind of hard when you're a caregiver sometimes, but doing those things that we can do, it increases our chances. Now, the thing about it is you can have these plaques that can develop up to 15 years before
Mm.
you even show the first sign.
Oh, wow.
And so a lot of it is, we have a lot of cases now as well because people are living longer. And
Mhm.
so you have your aging population that are living to be up in their 80s and some of them 90s. And so they're developing it, later in life. And then you also have that side that you have your early onset where, we don't know. We we really don't know why. Some of it is early, whether it's stress, whatever. Some of it is the foods that we're eating.
Mhm.
There's no cure for it. That we do know. There's no cure for it. But there are some things that you can do to try and help slow that process down. Exercise is a great one to
Yeah.
try and help because you're helping to build those brain cells back up. And so, I've gotten more into my exercises because higher risk.
Mhm. So you're saying a lot of the things that we say kind of on a regular here on on Mindset Monday and Wellness Wednesday, the importance of healthy foods, the importance of exercise, drinking plenty of water, the importance of getting fresh air, deep breathing, the importance of movement, of some sort, and getting rest, like not sleeping on sleep. Like you got to get your rest. So, all things that, again, if we want to have a better quality of life, to be more in balance physically with our emotional and mental and spiritual health, we've just got to do these things, for these bodies, right?
And
So,
know your body. Know
yeah,
your body. Don't ignore if you do realize that you're starting to forget certain things. It doesn't hurt to just get tested, right? Tallahassee Memory Clinic. They have that's another one where you can go in. It's the Tallahassee Memorial Memory Disorder Clinic. You can give them a call and, schedule you a neurology exam.
mm,
I mean, no, everything isn't Alzheimer's dementia. Sometimes it's
right.
just a deficiency somewhere. But
Hmm.
if you notice that those things are happening, if you notice that they're happening to your loved one,
Yeah.
don't wait, take them in. And then, sometimes you gotta my mom's doctor, I will be honest in saying I do not like taking her to him because, once you have a diagnosis, one of every time we go, it's the same thing. It's the dementia. Everything can't be the same, right?
Right.
But what I had to tell them, I took her for a physical the last time,
Hmm.
and I had to tell them, like, listen, we're gonna sit in the car until you all are ready for her. Because the last time I brought her in, y'all kept us in there for like 30 minutes and she almost destroyed this entire waiting room,
Oh, wow.
literally. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, no, I'm not doing that. And I have to tell them, like, y'all have to learn, like, and they're not trained on it, but
Hmm.
there's some things that you can demand,
Yeah.
when you go. And so, you know,
Okay.
do what you have to do.
So Ruby said, I agree. I was not invited to a lot of events because of my giving care to my mother. Not a good feeling. Sorry to hear about that, Miss Ruby. Ebonice, again, the foods we are eating, especially sugars, the medicines we are taking, and not dealing with family issues, major contributors. Prevagen is a good supplement when you first notice the symptoms. It's expensive, but it helps to delay it. She's also recommending sunshine.
Vitamin D.
Yes, Marjorie said gut health is huge. I began having memory issues. I was informed to eat a lot of fish and take certain vitamins, and things greatly improved. Thank you for sharing that, Marjorie. And Rashonda, making healthier choices and decisions are beneficial for the whole person. Yes, absolutely. And Abenichi said adaptogens like mushrooms, lion mane, turkey tail, and reishi are good mushrooms for this. Also, if early onset, they have psilocybin treatments in some states. Okay. All right. So some other food options, dietary options that might be able to assist. And we got Miss Kiosha joining us. We'll have to catch the replay. That's all right, Kiosha. We're glad you're tuning in right now from Tallahassee. So we are again on with the inspirational caregiver, Miss Priscilla John Louis, and we have been talking all things caregiver and caregiving, caring for the caregiver. And so, talk a little bit about like how important the caregiver having respite, having self care. How important is that?
I think it's very important. I will be honest and saying I'm still working on that, right? I'm still working on self-care, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning better how to do it. I think it's priority. People say it all the time, you know, you hear it all the time. If you can't take care of you, you're not going to be any good when it comes to taking care of your loved one.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm having to learn better and better every day is to prioritize caring for me, because I'm not any good if I can't. And because you know I'm determined to take care of my mom as long as I can, I want to make sure that long as I can is quite a while longer. And so when it comes down to it, being able to have that help is important. It's key, because in order for me to get self-care, I got to have somebody that's going to give me time to be able to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so absolutely, yes. You have people, again, that come in that help, but they may not always be available. And the other side is learning, and I've had to learn, and on some levels still learning how to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes just I say different personalities, right? I'm the type of person who I'm not going to always wait for you to tell me what you need. If I see that there's a need, then I'm going to jump on that. People
Mm-hmm.
are different, right? There's some people who they are dead set on, you got to tell me.
Yeah.
And then there's some who they pick up. I have both sets in my life, right? I have some who out of nowhere things just show up at
Yeah.
my house. Then I have others who you got to say this, right? Because no, they don't. But as a caregiver, you do have to learn how to say, hey, you got to throw up that red flag and say, I need help. I'm drowning.
Right.
August was a life-changing month for me all
Mm-hmm.
the way around. And, in August and September, I didn't really have to throw up red flags because I was still running and going. And so things weren't heavy. But
Yeah.
over the last couple of weeks, I'm learning that I got to throw up a red flag and say, hey, um, I need help. And so as
Mhm.
caregivers, you can't be afraid to say, I need help. I need a moment
Right.
to be able to regroup, because you got to be able to get that time in for you.
Mhm.
I can honestly say, I am not my best self with my mom. And the great thing about it, and I appreciate it, I know when I'm stressed. I know when I'm over the top. So I will take a step back,
Yeah.
because one thing I'm never gonna do is my prayer, because again, with Alzheimer's and dementia, it's like dealing with a toddler. And
Mhm.
so there's a certain level of patience you have to have.
Yeah.
She has no idea what she's doing 100% of the time,
Mhm.
literally 100% of the time. And
Yeah.
so at the stage she's in, I'm doing literally everything but feeding her. She could still feed herself,
Mm-hmm.
but it's literally, no, doesn't remember how to use utensils. So
Mm.
I know there's going to be why am I going to get mad if she
Right.
messes up something? She has no idea.
Right.
So that self-care and being able to make sure that you are in control all the way around
Mm-hmm.
helps you, because as just a person, when you're not all there and you're imbalanced, your patience is short, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want that to be a situation. So I try and, but you got to have that time. What I had to do yesterday, I pulled out my calendar and
Mm-hmm.
I'm scheduling dates because I have to be able to take care of me.
Yeah.
I got to be able to deal. The thing about caregiving, when life happens to you, when you're a full time caregiver, and I forget who, Miss Ruby, I'm sure she could say this, right? You're a full time caregiver. It don't matter what happens with you, right? You got to still be present. And I'm saying that it does matter, but on some levels, you don't have time to really deal with you because you got to be present for them.
Mm.
That's why you got to have those, others that can say, you know what, I got this, that can see where you are and
Mm-hmm.
say, you know what, I got this, right? August was devastating. My best friend died, and 2 weeks after, my baby moves to college. And so,
That's a
we're
lot.
talking about grief on top of grief. And then for whatever reason, you realize you're dealing with grief. But I think for me, I had to come to a realization too that I've been grieving for my mom for a while. And so
Mm-hmm.
all of it is right there. And so your emotions are like this, right?
Yeah.
And so being able to step back and say, you know what, I got to be able to take care of me.
Yeah.
So when
For
you're
sure.
saying caring for the caregiver,
Mm-hmm.
that's the type of stuff where you purposely take notice of what is going on with them, and you offer whatever you
And
can offer to them.
absolutely. So, couple of comments here. We got Dante on, who's here in Tallahassee. He said, as the grandson of someone that suffered from dementia, I promise you I didn't notice any symptoms until it was too late. Priscilla, I'm proud of you for, at the very least, making your mom comfortable.
That's my
Yes.
cousin because
Dante is your cousin. I didn't know that. Okay, cool. Thank you for being here, Dante. And thank you for sharing. Ruby, I found myself not giving myself enough care, but you have to take care of you so you can continue to take care of your loved one. Yes, point well taken. And Anthony, I read your comment. I do remember you from my son's graduation, and you said you also talk about aging and caregivers. So we're gonna have to have you come on the show. All right. So appreciate you for being on. All right. Abeniche, learning routines is definitely important. Pencil yourself in once a week. Yes. Rashonda has a question. What are tests or screenings designed to detect Alzheimer's and dementia?
It's gonna have to be a neurological test. You'll have to see a neurologist. They don't do those at your general practitioner. You'll have to request to see a neurologist, and the neurologist will take you through a series of tests. Now, for my mom, that's what we did. I happened to ask her doctor that she was under at the time
Hmm.
whether or not there was any type of testing we could take just to see, because of the genetic factor. And his response was, yeah. He said, but I wouldn't do it. And when I asked him why, he said, 'cause at that time I was younger, and he said, if I gave you the test, he said, you would worry yourself to death thinking that it's going to come. And when I thought about it, I'm like, that's true. But what I will say is this. I, I think that it's great to become a part. There are different studies that are
Hmm.
done. You go to alz.org, www.alz.org. That's the Alzheimer's Association website. There are different studies that are being done, and we need more African Americans to take part in these studies. I myself ran away from them at first because what do we think about the Tuskegee experiment? Everybody's like, "Oh, you're not gonna make me an
Right.
experiment." But then there
Science
are certain
project.
things. Some of them are sleep studies. Some of them are exercise.
Hmm.
There are certain studies that, I mean, reality is we can't get the help that we need
Yeah.
in our community if we are not a part of the studies that are going on to get some of these, things done. We if we don't do the testing, how are they going to help us?
Right.
We don't become a part of it. And so we have to also put ourselves out there. So if you go to especially with the Alzheimer's and dementia, go to their website. There is a link on there to the different studies, and if they have some in your area, become a part of them. Some of them they're not in the area. There's different platforms I've been on with people with early stages
Hmm.
who they're taking part in it. So it's just a study, because what we want to do is to be able to stop this before it moves into the next generation and the next generation. And so there's things out there that we can do, but as far as testing, it's going to have to be through a skilled neurologist.
Yeah. All right. So Pandas, which is Z, says you're a class act. I know your mom and grandma are blessed to have been cared for by you. Keep shining and inspiring, Auntie.
Thank you.
All right. Alethea, I used to be so resentful in those times when I knew I was drowning in caregiving, but couldn't focus on me because I had to handle business. I'm so much better now, and thank God for that. Cause yeah, you got to be good in order to really care for someone. So glad you have you know been able to do that. Aboniche, the BIM score is what some institutions use, but they need better testing because BIMS is failing to identify certain symptoms because actually some illnesses require neuropsych evaluations. Okay. This is a whole new world for me. So I'm learning a whole lot in this conversation. I got a whole page of notes over here. Okay. All right. And Rashonda said, thank you for sharing. So listen, y'all, we are like right at an hour, a little bit over. And so I don't know, y'all are like really engaged in this conversation. So, Priscilla, if your
Hey,
time
I'm good.
we
Yeah.
may have to have you come back. I mean, we can I'm a Rashonda's question is gonna be our last one, and then I want you to give some closing comments. And they're saying in the comments we gotta have her back. Maybe we can have you back on with Anthony since he talks about this as well. But Rashonda wants to know about a walk for awareness coming up soon from your organization. Is this your hype chick tonight? Because she is like on it. Okay. I
Oh,
love
thank you, Miss Rashonda. We were actually just at an event with her this past weekend. But yes,
it.
we do have the Tallahassee Walk to End Alzheimer's, which is going to be November 5th at 2 p.m. at Cascades Park. And so I have a team, but I've really honestly been promoting my daughter's team. My daughter with Kaylin's Care and Connection, Kaylin Jean-Louis with Kaylin's Care and Connection. She has a team that's called Youth Care 2. She actually started a youth initiative 3 years ago, actually during COVID, to be able to just honor youth caregivers. So many times we look at adults as being caregivers, and we are, but there's also a whole there's a lot of young people who are out there who are also caregivers, and COVID increased that number even higher because now you have a lot of children that are out there caring for their parents. And so it's not just with Alzheimer's and dementia, but there are a lot of youth caregivers. But for this walk, her team is Team Youth Care 2. It is at 2 p.m. at Cascades Park. And we would love for you to meet us out there. And if you would like to, we're also the walk is to really raise funds for the research and the care that's going into Alzheimer's. There's a lot of research. Alzheimer's Association is the largest organization for research, that are doing the research and providing different trainings and tools for caregivers. And so I connected with them. I think this is my 5th year. I'm on the committee. And
Mhm.
so, that's why we pump it big. And so if you are in Tallahassee, I would love for you to join us out at Cascade Park, 2 o'clock. You can walk with Team Youth Care 2. You can sign up for that on Kaylin's website. That's www.Kaylin's Caring Connection with a K. Kaylin'sCaringConnection.com. I put that on there. Kaylin's, I'm sorry, yeah,
Okay.
connection with the K. So Kaylin'sCaringConnection.com. It's on there. And so also want to throw this plug in as well. Thank you. That's it.
Mhm.
Want to throw this plug in as well. We were actually planning between my favorite girl in Alzheimer's and Kaylin's Caring Connection with the youth Care 2 movement. We were planning a caregivers celebration banquet that we're hosting. We had to move the date back because life happened in August, and we had to push it back. So we have the event that's going to be scheduled for March 2nd and 3rd. As we started this, November is National Caregivers Month, the entire month. So what I want to do is also, those of you who know a caregiver, do something special for them in the month of November. It doesn't matter whether it's something simple as just showing up. Show up. Miss Ruby, she said it on there. It's lonely sometimes, so show up. Like, hey, I just came to see you, or hey, do you need anything? Buy groceries, gift card. It doesn't even matter. Spa day, whatever you can do for a caregiver, do it. Something as simple as just a note. Uh, Whatever you can think of, do that for the caregiver. But save the date, March 2nd and 3rd. I will get that information to Nicole as well. It'll be on my website. It'll be on Kaylin's website. But we are doing a caregiver celebration banquet, and it's just simply to be able to honor caregivers. That's our desire. March 3rd is National Caregivers Day. And so
Mhm.
we're going to make a weekend out of it on the 2nd and the 3rd. So the banquet is going to be, our celebration is going to be on that Saturday. And we're just going to bring together caregivers. We're going to honor them. We're going to celebrate them. We are going to just make them feel like the special people they are. So be on the lookout for that information. If you're a caregiver, you know somebody that's a caregiver, get in contact with me.
Yes.
Also on my podcast, I have guests on there. So and it's just to build a community, to let people know that, hey, you're not by yourself. You're not alone. We can do this. That's my whole heart and passion, is to inspire others to care. My motto is keep going, keep pushing, keep loving, and keep caring. That's my motto.
Love it.
So it's doable. It's difficult sometimes. It's hard, but it's doable. You've been graced to do it. We've been graced to do it, and it's a community of us out here to let you know that you're not by yourself. You're not the only one in the world, and we're here for you, to keep you
Mhm.
going.
All
So be
right.
on the lookout for all of it. We'll get that information out to you.
Indeed. So, several folks have said we got to have you back. You got to have you back for a part two. So again, if you're open to it, let's make that happen. Ruby
Open.
also
I'm
mentioned
open.
the area agency on aging has helped out a lot. They gave a stipend once a month for help, so that's another
Good.
resource here in the Tallahassee area.
Good.
So I love the challenge that you put forth for us for November to show some love to a caregiver. Write them a note, buy them a meal, get them some groceries, wash their car, something.
Come sit down. Give them an hour of your time to go do whatever they want to do,
Yes,
or to
give
just take a nap.
yes, to go take a nap. So that everybody that's on this live, everybody that watches the replay, and you all need to share this so they can watch the replay. You are challenged with showing some love to a caregiver for the entire month of November because they need it. They need it. Ruby, how can I get information about the banquet? I would love to
If you'll
participate.
flash my info up there,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
can
Yes,
call
ma'am.
me. I
Yeah.
mean, call me. You can go
Go
on
to
that website. My Facebook is up there. That's the personal. I didn't give my email address, but they're on the website. They're on
mm,
the website. It's on the Facebook page. My phone number is on both as well. So You can
Mhm.
contact me. I'll make sure you get that information. Make sure you can take part in it. If you know a caregiver and you want them to be honored, contact me. Contact me. We're going to honor as many as we can. We can't do everybody, but
Mm.
this is going to be an annual thing. And we're going to honor as many as we can because y'all, caregivers matter. Caregivers are superheroes.
Yes, they are. Ruby said, I want to make a caregiver um,
Okay.
basket to give away.
Okay.
Yes, yes, yes,
Contact me, Miss Ruby.
yes, for sure. All right. So this has been great. Thank you, Priscilla.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Oh, no, my pleasure. And thank you to the viewers. For those of you who have not subscribed to the Conversations with Nicole YouTube channel, although I know there's nobody on here tonight that hasn't done that. But for those of you who may be watching the replay, because you all are going to share this, definitely we invite you to do so. We are live on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and our focus is on mental health and wellness in Black and Brown communities, and having conversations just like this. So let's keep this conversation going. Clearly, we need to have more conversations like this. We really, really, really do. So we're gonna get Priscilla back on, maybe get Anthony on as well. And yeah, let's talk about it and let's see what we can do to do better. And let's hold up your end of the challenge by showing some love to a caregiver for the month of November. All right. Good people, we will see y'all next time. Peace.
Bye.